Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you're listening to this. We're trying to make content that's going to be simplified for the majority of people out there who still are coming up on board of what cryptocurrency is, what Bitcoin is, and what a CDBC or central bank digital currency, as well as many other facets that are going to affect our lives going forward since 2022. Before I get started though, I want to talk a little bit about what I like to drink in the mornings, what we bring back from the Amazon jungle with us, and it's called Guayusa. It's a leaf. It grows naturally on a plant in the jungle. It's sold in little clumps of this nature, sometimes on a long string. You can buy this in the jungle. I buy this from the native communities when I go down to the jungle and try to do my fishing down there, or when I go down to see our native friends down there and check on our lands. It's a natural stimulant. It's a replacement to coffee, and it actually does help your digestive system tremendously. I've recommended it to people. Now be careful because it is a stimulant, so if you have a heart condition, you might want to, get some advice from your doctor first on that. But I'm going to try to introduce some other areas of how you can make your own natural teas. I call it a mate. And I mix in there a little bit of guarana and just a pinch of guarana, and also a few other little different natural herbs that I like to put in that tea to help in my digestive system. At 58, I got to start watching my health better. Having had a heart attack 12 years ago, I need to watch that better. And coffee is not something that settles well with me. And it doesn't normally for a lot of people. They just don't realize it. Let's jump into our video today now. A CDBC. What is a CDBC? A central bank digital currency is this. And I'm going to put it in very simple terms. I'm a simple person. I'm getting ready to go to work right now. I've got back to my day job, my old day job where I started as a contractor. And I'm back doing that now while we're still working on crypto, while we're going to lift up this content creation channel. And this is what I want to dedicate myself to full time. But in the meantime, with the economy doing what it's doing, I needed to go back to pay the bills and to help support our team down in Ecuador. So give us a thumbs up, a like, subscribe to our channel. You're helping not only myself, but the group of younger people that we have down in South America that are really working for pennies to try to keep this alive and keep these videos going out for each of you. Central bank digital currency is just this. You have the Federal Reserve, or central banks, if you will, of each country, not the banking system. A central bank digital currency will eliminate the current banking system as we know it today. A central bank digital currency will be controlled, for example, in the United States, by the Federal Reserve, the feds. They'll control that currency. That currency will be nothing more than a QR code, as you can scan. If you and Venmo, or even if you're going to use Zelle. Zelle right now is trying to be that one of those digital currency options. Supported by whom? Bank of America, Wells Fargo, if I'm not mistaken, I think Citibank, might be one or two others there too. And they've recently presented a report to the federal government of the United States of America, trying to buy in on that so they can be that provider of that CDBC, that central bank digital currency. What's going to happen is when the central bank digital currency is introduced to us, which it's coming, it will come, the banking system will be eliminated as we know it today, and everything will be done through the federal government, or what we call central banks. The United States of America shouldn't have a central bank. It's supposed to be independent, but we know that that is not necessarily how things work. So central banks in the world, China already has the digital yuan, which is backed. They're using that now to also try to replace the dollar as the petrodollar through the BRICS nations. Remember, the BRICS nations are those nations that are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, along with the OPEC nations, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Ecuador, etc., that produce oil. Those are the oil producing nations. They have united now, and they have verbal and some written agreements, from my understanding, that they are going to use the digital yuan, which is gold-backed, for the new petrodollar, which will replace the US dollar. So what's going to happen to the US dollar? That's a really good question. I don't want to try to say what can happen now, because that'd be purely speculation. But we know that if now the US dollar, not backed by gold since 1971, so now we've gone off and just become a currency, right? Not money, but a currency. Money is gold. Remember, money is something that's tangible, fungible, right? A currency that's just paper is just that. It's only worth what the government says it's worth. Will there be a new global currency? Well, generally every 90 years or so, there is a new currency. Will a digital dollar compete on that level? Well, that's what they're trying to do, because you're not only having the US and other countries, but you have the World Bank wanting to create a digital currency backed by the World Economic Forum, which all this stuff we'll put in the videos. But right now, I just want you to understand this, what that digital currency is going to mean to you and I. 2023, apparently they're going to launch a payment platform with a digital currency. I repeat, Zelle, even PayPal, and some of these others. Now, PayPal you deposit into and you move money, okay? But you can do that now just by typing in information on your bank account and moving money, right? When we now in our little construction company go out and we receive certain payments, how convenient is it that we just pass a QR code? I even have a little thing, I'll show you, a Zelle for Venmo, that they just pass they take a picture of the QR code, boop, punch in the amount, and instantly that money is put into our Venmo account, and then we can move that around as we'd like to. Convenience will be the obstacle. Many of us can say, well, I want my privacy, because right now the Federal Reserve will have a digital currency. If they model it like they do in China, which to my understanding, the World Economic Forum and the World Bank wants to model it as they are in China, it will give the government so much control over our finances. They will actually make this currency so we can't save it. It will expire in time. It has an expiration date on it. So if we don't use it, we'll lose it. Now it's going to be much easier to fund people that are just taking money from the governments, for example, that just live off the governments. And I hope that many people decide to climb out of that. And we're trying to do our part now to help people climb out of that. But a central bank digital currency, in my point of view, in a reality point of view, is nothing more than centralizing the control of currency, which means we won't have privacy over our money or our currency that we use anymore. And I shouldn't say money, because it won't be a money. Remember, money is something that is fungible, it's tangible, like gold, silver, right? So a central bank digital currency being rolled out in many other countries. This year, apparently, Brazil is on target with the uprising taking place in Brazil right now. I'm not so sure about if they're going to meet that target or not, but Brazil, India, Russia, as well as other countries going forward this year are going to roll out their pilot programs for the digital currency. Now, the United States is nothing new. They've been working on this for a long time, and that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin was created clear back in 2009 by the Satoshi Group, was to give us that alternative. Now, cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin are another subject. There are some cryptocurrencies that are like Bitcoin, meaning that they're decentralized. And that's the key here. When we have tangible money in our hands, it's in essence decentralized once it's in our hands, right? Now, can the government come and take that from us, can make it null and void? Sure, that's why it's centralized. But can gold be made null and void? Can silver or precious metals or stones be made null and void? Well, no, actually. Can governments come and take it from us like they did in the 1930s here in the United States of America? Yes, they can. They can try to come and take it from us and make it illegal to have, and some governments have done that. But there again, you have that each state, United States, then will fall under their own laws. And I am confident that there will be those states that are standing up now that will continue to stand up to defend the groups of people that will gather together to actually maintain what they own. A digital currency, you will not own it. You will have possession of it under certain rights that will connect to your carbon credit score, as well as other facets that the government can then deem whether you're worthy of or not worthy of, including travel, privileges, etc. So a digital currency, I'll give you an example to summarize here. I get pulled over by a police officer, and this is just an example, okay? This is a hypothetical scenario, but this is exactly where it goes and what's being used, or how it's being used, like in China, for example, right? I get pulled over by a police officer for speeding, or whatever the police officer deems that I have done to create an infraction of the law, to whatever degree it is. Now, before I used to get my day in court, right? Now sometimes we just get sent a bill, a ticket, a bill, and we have to pay that. Before we used to get our day in court, we could dispute it. Well, now a police officer will come in and just take your QR code and swipe it, and you'll pay your penalty right then and there. That will affect your carbon credit score as well. I mean, you're privileged to be able to drive, go to work, go to church, whatever you want to do. And that'll all be connected, right? Joe Biden just signed into law just recently that the federal government of the United States of America will have the right to shut off our vehicles. That's all part of this whole 2030 agenda. That's another subject. But in that being that, this hypothetical scenario, that we now have our digital currency, and now we've exceeded our carbon credit score because of that infraction. Boom, our vehicle shut off. What takes place? Well, most likely will take place, our vehicle can't be left alongside the road. So then a government tow truck will come in, take that vehicle, and move our vehicle to a government facility, which will have to pay more money to be able to get that out later. So, excuse my son decided to come in here as I'm recording. He loves to be with me, and I like to bring him in here with me in the future. But to summarize, is a central bank digital currency something good for us? Well, my personal opinion, I think people adapt it because it's central, because it's the convenience issue, right? And I feel that though we want to fight for freedom, like Amazon, it's convenient, and so we use it. And that worries me going forward. What can we do about it? Well, we can come together and we can resist that. So in summary, a central bank digital currency will be convenient, but it's scary, and I don't like it. I like to be able to do my transactions in private. And you know, if we want to make any transaction, we want to buy an ice cream, or if I want to just give you money for something, I will have to ask permission for that money to be moved. Now, most of the time that permission is going to be granted, but there are times even when we know we go to use our credit cards or our debit cards and it's blocked for some reason. Maybe on weekends it won't work, you know, like now. Maybe we won't be able to access it on holidays. It's absurd. You know, we've gotten checks, we take pictures of them, we send them in now. We just mail, we can just send it on the platform, like for the bank, and then it's processed. But it won't be processed on weekends and holidays, which is absurd because it's all done digitally anyway, right? So it's just a control factor. Remember that the banks would push out of this. So you have Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citibank, and maybe one or two others fighting right now, knowing that they're going to be pushed out and all this control will come back to the central government. There will be no more banking system as we know it today. And that's what a CDBC will do and introduce. And that's what the plan is going forward in the United States of America and all major countries of the world. DeFi, IoT. I hope this helped you understand what's coming. Don't let it scare you. There will be those who will stand up against this. And there will be areas where you'll be able to go that will resist this. There always has been, there always will be, and I'm a man of faith, and I believe that our great Creator will provide a way for freedoms to exist. And that's very important to our peace of mind. We'll talk to you in the next video. Have a great afternoon or evening, wherever you are.